Hey, Tasha, why are you here?
What's up, everybody? What's up? How's everybody doing out there? Thank you for joining us.
I could have sworn last week we told Tasha said this was her last show, but I'm gonna. Hi, Tasha.
Hi.
How was your weekend, my love? How was your weekend?
My weekend was nesting.
You was nesting or resting?
Nesting. You know what nesting means? When you're nesting, when you're pregnant, that means you're cleaning up.
I've never been pregnant. No, I'm good.
So cleaning
sounds like fat stuff.
No, nesting, you're like doing everything, making sure that the housekeeper cleaned the house right. You got your stuff packed, everything's ready to go. You know, the baby's towel warmer is ready. Everything's ready. Everything. So that's all.
I watched you on the podcast that you did with your friend. I watched a portion of it. Yeah,
I did a mom's conversation Saturday at 1:00. So check them out. 3 unique girls, and it was a good conversation about what things are populated for pregnant women, what suggestions I would do, how I was prepared, or how do I even do self-care, be a mom or wife, and now prepping for the baby. So it's pretty cool. But anyway, Tammy, how was your weekend?
My weekend was pretty good. What did I do? I don't know what I did. A lot of cleaning because I'm headed your way this weekend. So, I don't like to return to. You said I said do not say. Anyway, I don't like to return home after traveling to a dirty house. So I was like literally in here going in. So
you were nesting.
Yeah. Is that what it's called? Well, I don't have a baby coming. I come home to rest. Anyway,
guys, thank you for joining. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share on our YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter page. Any suggestions or topics or serious inquiries, just email us at fineandtaylorcousinscrew@gmail.com. We greatly appreciate it. We have some special guests. Don't forget to put the questions in the comment. Drop a comment or just a question if you want to. The people that we have on, they're really live, they're really hype, and we can't wait to meet them here. And the episode, of course, you guys know is episode
Graduating Against Odds, right? So I came up with this thought because I had to attend a virtual graduation on Friday for the community in which I work for at Rutgers. And I just thought, I talk about them all the time. They are amazing. They're just an amazing group of people. They have been a very encouraging force that have me back in school pursuing a doctorate. Just a good group of guys and young ladies. And ultimately, my dissertation is going to be about something. I think I came up with reentry and rehabilitation, and I'm going to focus around housing and job preparation for people who are coming home after being incarcerated, right? But I think that hey, Shevon. I think that the narrative has to be changed, and the only way that we can change the narrative is we talk about it, because there's always a stigmatism about it and people who were formerly incarcerated. And I really had to apologize and even thank some of the many of these, because my perception was a little bit warped prior to working with my crew. I love to say my crew. I do. I love them all. I love them all equally, and I treat them particularly in a way because I just think it's necessary, right? Just to be kind to people. It doesn't hurt to be kind to people, but I'm especially kind to them because coming from the circumstances that they do. So with no further ado, We have Miss Shevon Ricks, Mr. Ray Chavis, Mr. Christopher Charriez, and I have one more guest coming in. Unfortunately, Rashida won't be joining us because her sister went into labor, so congratulations. So we're just going to have some dialogue, and, I don't have a formal interview style. I kind of let my guests lead and I follow. So then I'm not putting them in a situation where they are, hey, JD, where they are feeling, up against the wall. So with that said, let's see what we can start our little dialogue. So these are some of the beautiful faces that I've seen for the past 5 years. I've come to work and they're amazing. They make me laugh. We hike on each other. They talk about me. I even earned a special name, Cookie Lions. Thank you, Ray. So that's them, but I'm going to bring them in one by one and I'll let them introduce themselves. Here you go. Hey, Chris.
Peace, family.
So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you for the introduction. I truly appreciate that. As you said, my name is Christopher Charriez, but my brothers and sisters, they call me Talib, which, it's an Arabic name, but actually means student. I don't know many people know about that, but essentially, yeah, Talib means student or somebody who's constantly seeking something. So, yeah, it's just truly an honor to be on. I appreciate it.
Everybody know this guy. He's been on a few times. This is Mr. Chavis. Hey, Mr. Chavis. You on mute. You got to unmute yourself.
Hola. ¿Qué pasó? ¿Qué pasó? Sí, esa es mi socio. What's going on? It's Ray Chavis. Like the sister said, I've been on here a couple of times, but we up here today to talk about a serious topic. A very, very, very serious topic. Things that you may not know about us, things you may not know about individuals that you walk beside in the streets. But we here. We going to unpack that.
Okay, thanks, Ray. And last but not least, there's another one coming in, but this is Miss Shevon Ricks. She is really at work doing her thing. So, hey, Shevon.
Yeah, they're gonna charge. They think they own my life. They got me here packing these boxes because these people want this order. But Tasha, did you get my note in your order?
Tasha, you on mute.
The note, you know what? I might have bypassed the note in there.
That's a shame, yo. I sent you a whole note.
I ain't see no note in there in that box.
I was like, packed by your favorite techie.
I did see that, but I didn't.
That's crazy. What's up, Shevon?
What's up, Ray? How y'all
What's
doing?
going on, sis?
Not much.
Good seeing you. Good seeing you.
Tell me that, and I was like, she did.
I was like, Tasha, of all people, Dana sends Tasha a package for her baby shower, and Shevon ends up getting it. And what people don't know, if you don't know, Shevon kind of signed on to be our engineer. So Shevon knows Tasha from us trying to get her to work the background. So we were like, I said, you got to be kidding me. She's like, Tia, look, Dana sent it. She knows my cousin Dana as well in Atlanta. So it was just so funny. Shevon is really packing boxes. I'm gonna hurt her.
For real. And I left work so I could sit down somewhere. And Shevon really at work. Ain't that something?
This is what I be doing 24/7. And I'm about to start this little security job tomorrow. Doing security at the movies, where they do the movie sets and films at. So I'm about to be working.
Okay.
Shevon, you know you on live, right? I don't want you getting in trouble.
Telling all about my business. That wasn't for y'all. Like.
All right, so let's get this party started. So, the topic of this show is graduating against the odds. And I thought about this topic after sitting through almost, how long was that graduation, Ray? About, how much, guys? Chris, about 2 hours?
About 2 hours, 2 to 4.
We were crying and we were snotting and it was just a really good feeling. And even though we weren't able to actually see them graduate. And I felt so bad for my crew because they have been diligent and persistent about getting their degree despite being incarcerated, and not to be able to get that moment of that, something about Tasha, something about walking across that stage, something about getting that degree in front of your family. It just heightens, it's the icing on the cake for all the pain and anguish that you go through to get those degrees. So I just want to applaud you guys and more or less say I'm apologetic, even though it was, it was a world pandemic, that you didn't get that moment in time. But even through it all, You guys had to shift. You know, some of you, particularly you, Chris. Ray, did you kind of miss that point? You didn't have to go online, right? You were done at that point.
Go online for the class. My last semester was online. Remember, it was March of 2000.
Oh, that's right. Okay, so you did right. Okay,
yeah.
So to have to make that swift transition, and I know that particularly you all, you didn't have that challenge with technology, but like Johnny Rodriguez really struggled through that portion. Some other people struggled.
Well, we did. The thing is, we did. Me and Talib, just like many of us, we did have that challenge. Some of us, it was a little bit more challenging than others, and some people handle their challenges different. But we definitely had that challenge. Definitely.
Right. So, you guys lead the narrative. What was it like? Tasha, you had a good question, but what was it like starting your education behind the wall?
Wow. So I think before we could even get to getting to that point, we have to understand that education really, for me anyway, that important in my community, right? Dilapidated schools, underfunded. Like, we know what these narratives, what these are about. They're about with regards to being in a community that has confined spaces within itself, right? The schools we went, metal detectors, or the ones I went to had methods. Our schoolyard had 35 footers, right? So it was proximity to education as a means of uplifting myself was, it was marginalized, right? You either an athlete, it was just that very special and very athletic person that we would allow just thrive. So before we could get to studying on the inside, meaning being incarcerated, then I would have to say that we have to view it through that lens, that some of us had very limited choices, which led to bad choices, which then led to us making the right choice behind bars, right? So it's a process.
Shevon, you want to go next?
I'm ready. Yeah, I'm sorry. You unmute my mic? Can y'all hear me? I can't hear none of y'all though.
We can hear you.
Okay, what was the question again? I'm sorry.
What was it like starting your education behind the walls?
I mean, it was like, to me, it was a hunger. Like, I knew that my bed was made and the choices and decisions that I made had put me in that position. So in my mind, I just wanted to think of the best thing possible that would help me get through it, the best thing possible that would make me the better version of me, when everything was over. And, it was just a hunger in me. Like, I've always been a smart person. I've always been in the books. I always read, and that's not something my family instilled in me. That's just something that I was born with. So I took that opportunity to turn my darkness into light and to, make something better of myself. My credentials speak a lot for myself. And if something is attached to my name, then I want it to be greatness attached to my name, not just negativity.
The great point about that, you discuss things about not being negativity. It comes a time, I guess, when you do feel like, and I can't say that I haven't gotten in trouble. I'm actually a high school dropout. So I dropped out of high school at 10th grade and then got my GED when I was living in California. And now I'm sitting here with 4 degrees. So, things happen in your life, but you can't take it as a negative. Like you said, you push forward and get through it.
Mm-hmm.
Great way to start that off, Shevon.
I do what I can.
So for me, it's unlike Shevon, I can't say that I was ever good at school. I can't say that I ever got good grades or any of that because I didn't. I never liked school. I always was a bastard. I never liked nobody telling me what to do. I never liked the only thing I enjoyed in school was physical education, which is ironic because I have a career in physical education now, but I never liked school. I actually I haven't walked to your point, Tam, about walking across the stage. It was definitely something I was looking forward to because I haven't had the chance to walk across the stage or have my loved ones see me walk across the stage since my 6th grade graduation. I got my GED in prison as a juvenile down in Jamesburg Youth Correctional Facility. Actually, it was Boydtown. So I got it in my juvenile sentence, and I earned my AA in East Jersey State Prison at Rawway. So I actually haven't had the chance to give my parents or my mother and my loved ones that out in the world. So I definitely wanted to give them that graduating from Rutgers. But what I was able to give them, they didn't see me walk across the stage, but they did see me accept that degree at East Jersey State Prison. And that was a big deal to me to have my children and my mom there to see that. I don't think for them that it made that much of a bigger difference that I was across the stage in the college or that I was there, or just the fact that I was receiving a degree. And the main reason, I think, because they know the life that I was living. So that was the context that I would be there to receive that degree. Was it hard? It was challenging. It was challenging. It wasn't challenging so much for my GED because it was kind of like, basic stuff. But to receive the BA, that was a bit challenging because there was a lot of things that I had to get over, a lot of things, misconceptions that I had about the university or that I had about formal education. And quite frankly, a whole lot of ignorance associated with the things that you learn in the university. But I embraced it, just like I embraced most adversity. And I got through it. So in the beginning, it was challenging, but I remember being in it was like a program what was that program we was accepted into like the week before we started the semester, Tam?
With the
what was that, Shevon?
I can't remember. I know what you're talking about, where they did us all the classes where they taught us how to speak and how to write and all of that.
So
I can't remember the name of it.
So that was real helpful to me because it kind of like set the stage before I actually got a chance to be in the classroom. But it was a statement that someone made at one of them presentations, and I wrote it down, and I had it written down in my binder, and I kept rewriting it down in the binder of every one of my notebooks every semester. And it said, it always seems impossible until it's done. And I constantly kept looking at that over and over again. And it resonated with me because that was kind of like a way that I looked at life. I always knew that the impossible was possible, but that kind of validated that for me. So as I went through every semester, I started to prepare myself, and I knew that it was possible, obviously, because thousands, if not millions, have made it. And I don't see myself as somebody that can't do something that thousands or millions of people have done. But so that was something that reminded me. Was it a challenge? Yeah, it was a challenge to getting adjusted to certain things, but I think you can make it through. I think most people can make it through anything if they put their mind to it and they discipline themselves. But yeah, that's my spill about how challenging it was.
And I have to agree with Ray. Sorry to jump in about, not being able to walk across the stage last year. Like, that was something that I kind of really was looking forward to. And with the pandemic hitting and everything, like, I didn't have that opportunity, but I got my associates inside, and, my grandmother was there. And unfortunately, she passed a year after I got my associates, but I just was glad and happy in my heart that, even though that graduation was inside the wall, she still was proud of me, and she got to see, that shining moment in my life.
And that's still a great feeling, just to even, because of the pandemic.
So I have another person coming in.
Just to let you know as well, with COVID, I graduated with my master's, and I didn't get to go to Colorado to walk across the stage. But I was like, kind of feels awkward, that you didn't get to walk across the stage. But I've been there with my other degrees. But, at some point you feel like you want to do that so you can show your parents and family members. So I think a good opportunity for Rutgers is to actually have people come back when we get over this, to have all of them walk across that stage.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's a financial thing. So it's a financial thing, and then you have a medical thing. So it's ongoing. And I think even though I saw that I've seen a lot of colleges in the South, they did it. They did the proper distancing, and they only allow people 2 family members. So it can be done. But now we're talking 2 classes, and graduations are long, So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how that would be done. But I really did feel bad for you guys. I did.
I actually received the email, Tam. I actually received the email from Rutgers.
Okay.
about them possibly having a 2021 graduation, and they said the dates were like October, November, tentatively. October, November. It was fall. I reached out to Regina to ask about it. I'm waiting for her to get back for confirmation, but I did receive the email the week before last from somebody from Rutgers. I don't know how valid it is, but you know, I
Yeah,
did
I'm gonna
receive the
double check
email.
through my emails and see if I received one too.
What we did was a virtual one where we had to make our own like little stand and kind of PowerPoint a hat. And so they actually had it on there and you could put your picture on there. So they did a virtual one. So I thought that was pretty cool still because everybody was able to see that. And you can invite as many people as you want to.
Nothing could compare.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing could compare. That energy.
You said, Ray, they did invite me to come this year, but I'm like, yeah, I won't be going down.
Yeah.
So with further ado, I guess, Tam, you have another guest on? Tammy?
Is Tam stuck or is she
Tammy's
just staring us down?
She might be, but I think she's stuck. She's going to have to pop
She
in.
might be stuck, but she looks like she's in deep thought and meditation.
Yeah. So we have Nicole here with us. So we're going to pop Nicole in here and welcome and thank you, Nicole, for coming in. Once you get in here, just introduce yourself and just let everybody know about your degree and, you know, what was the odds for you that you accomplished and beat.
Hi everyone. I'm Nicole. Hey Shevon.
Hey.
Hey Ray. Hey Tammy.
What's up, lady?
So I'm going for a bachelor's in criminal justice and minoring in peace and conflict studies. I'll be graduating in the fall. And the odds that I faced, you know, other than trying to reintegrate into society and everything like that, and even inside, like trying to get a degree on the inside was harder than on the outside, trying to get like classes and stuff like that. Classes were like some none on the inside, so that was hard, and it took me even longer to get my degree. But now I'm gonna be graduating at the end of the fall and reintegrating and everything after coming out in November. It's been tough trying to be a full-time student and, you know, figure out who I am on the outside. There's a lot of barriers with that, and, you know, trying to find our place and piece our lives back together. So that's been like the biggest struggle, and trying to be a mom, a college student, you know, trying to get my life together, make sure I'm, you know, mentally, you know, stable and okay and handling it, you know, properly and everything. So that's been like the biggest challenge for me. Trying to navigate my relationships and find stability.
Well, Nicole, that's awesome. My hat goes off to you, and congratulations again for pushing forward through those challenges that you have. Nothing can stop you now.
Thank you.
Hi, Nick. Okay, so with that said, let me see. You guys, what you guys going to talk about? So I don't like drab. I don't like monotony. So Shevon,
I have a question.
What's up? What's up? Because you know I always got a lot to say.
So
you know I do, and it's getting like I'm like, come on, let's get this going.
I have a question.
Okay.
So with being incarcerated, because I know there may be viewers out there that don't know this, how did you get introduced into getting your degree while you're in there? Like, how did you stumble across this? For those who may not be in there, or those who are in there and just not even socializing. Because I know at some point you can have people in there and they don't socialize, so they don't even know what's going on, or they block their ears, or some of them cannot read or write, so they feel like they're going to be quiet in there. So how did you find out about the information about, you know, going to college and pursuing and getting a degree and stuff like that?
I don't know if Nicole remember or not, but when it first started out down there, they was just offering classes. It was called a completely different program then. So, you know, and only a certain number of people could get into class. You had to have certain requirements and certain paperwork on file. So that's how it started off for me, just taking whatever classes, you know, became available. And then, once Mountain View, started transitioning into STEP and everything, and then we started getting regular teachers and everything, that's when it really became more like a college thing. So, like I said, for me, I just was looking for any outlet to exercise my mind. So when they said, okay, there's a college class available, I'm on it. I'm signing up for it. Like, I didn't care what it was. We could have been talking about the evolution of soil for all I care. But, it to me, that was just, something, different to do. And, at my sentencing, I wanted to just share this right quick. My victim, one thing that he said that he prayed that, we all do something positive with our lives and turn our lives around and go to school and make something better out of ourselves. And I don't know about, anybody else, but that really meant something to me and that touched me. And I took that to heart. And, that's a part of the main reason too, why I strive so hard to get this education that I did, because, even though he wanted us to do it, he felt like we couldn't do it. And I did it, against all odds. And, maybe one day, he'll look back and he'll see my situation and be like, you know what, she defeated the odds, and that's all I got.
Shevon, it's actually, pardon me, but yeah, Shevon, you raised an interesting, right? You're defeating the odds, and that being the subtitle of the show. So all of us at some point, a 10-page paper next to a toilet bowl, right? And that's the context in with regards to how it is that we actually overcame odds, right? So you had correctional officers who outwardly opposed us receiving any type of education, but when it came to higher education, and then they were disgusted to see like us to make a way out. And so here we are in this confined space, a small, it's a bathroom with a bed in it, right? And in some institutions, you could just put your arms out, and that's your space. Just put your arms out right now. That's how much space you had in your move. And then there wasn't no stool, chairs. You would sit down on a plastic bin, them Rubbermaid bins, and I would sit down on that Rubbermaid. I had at that time, there's brother 1700. Google it, 1700 MDS and a half be this in the year 2017. It printed one paper per minute. It would take about a minute and a half to print one page. So we would do papers like that, and we would get them on time every time. All the brothers I knew and all of the sisters heard of that were in Clinton, not only they do their work, they did exceptional work, right? And I was one of the people fortunate that brother, MDS word processor, but some individuals, all they had was a pencil or a flex pen, because the officers would come and bring and take a regular pen from you. So you go ahead, Google that, a flex pen, security flex pen. And it bends when you, brothers wrote theses with those pens, right? So then you take that and you get to a halfway house. Me and the brother Ray were in the same one. And we would have to wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning to beat the crowd of loud noise, because we'd be in the corner reading 60, 70 pages that had to be due, with 270 voices screaming with 3 visions on at full, right? And we're writing and reading papers in that context. And then we're going out into the world, right? Bus pass, having to get on campus, know how to utilize the technology that have been afforded to utilize from day one. So we were always behind. So if we're going to say overcoming odds, articulated that we were not supposed to overcome any of that. So to walk across the stage, we're walking across the stage as individuals. So walking the stage with brothers and sisters who are still behind, doing this same thing, but not necessarily receiving the type that we're getting right now. Communicate to the world on Facebook Live, on Fine and Tailored, to be able to say we overcame odds because we refused to weep and wallow. refuse to be a who would say, oh, life is over, I'm be caged forever. No, like the Mountain View community, NJ Step family, real. And every brother and sister that I have heard of is doing amazing tremendous things, and we're still facing odds because of nation, etc.
Well said, Chris.
You took the words out of my mouth. Well said, but I don't expect nothing from the brother. You're looking at a gentleman and a scholar right there. I don't expect nothing else from the brother. To answer your question, sis, about, how we came in contact with it, mine was an interesting story. So when I got back, I had got sent from one institution, and when I got back to the institution that actually where I earned mine as, we were having meetings called like the Blue Ribbon Panel, where we were pushing senators and elected officials downtown to bring education or other trade programs back into the system. So I sat in on many of the meetings, and that was in 2008. So come December, January 2012 into 2013, I happened to be walking around the dorm that I was housed in one day, getting ready for the yard. And the brother had a memo on his Proton. For those of y'all that don't know Proton, Google it. Google it. It's one of them old back in the day black speakers that's a radio all attached in one that's loud as hell, but you can't tell. You just look at it like a boom box. I know these 90s and 2000s babies might not know what it is, but they're machines that's older than you. Anyway, the brother had a memo on his, while I was going to mess with another brother in the dorm, a brother had a memo on his Proton. And I happened to glance at it while I was messing with the other brother. What's this? He said, oh, it's a college program. I said, oh yeah. I said, I went in. He said, you want to sign up? I said, yeah, I'll sign up. He said, get an IRF form. IRF form are inmate request forms. They're forms that you fill out if you have a grievance that go disregarded. But they're forms that they have out there anyway, just for you to express whatever's on your mind or request anything. So I filled out the request. I dropped it in the box. Like a week or two later, the administrator come through that same dorm. The administrator come through the dorm with a bunch of face sheets. Now, most people that's inside know that if you see an administrator or officer with face sheets, you go the other way, because that means they coming to lock somebody up because they looking for people. So I'm sitting there waiting to go out of the yard. I see the administrator come down. I go the other way. So I'm trying to duck him. We be ducking around each other. So he go down to one end. So I'm hiding by the telephones. So another brother come down that's had a couple of words with him. I said, what he doing? He said, oh, he come to interview jokers about the college program. So I said, yeah. So I go down there and burn down on him. He talking to somebody. He turned around. I said, you interviewing about the program? He said, yeah. I said, yeah, I want in. Basically, I don't know verbatim, but I want in. He said, what's your name? I told him my name. He went through the face sheets. He said, I don't have your name right here. Now, I know I put it in, but it's a lot of politics that go in any institution, and an institution of prison is no different. He didn't have my face sheet, but I put in the request. He said, I don't have your face sheet right here. He said, but I have 1,000 applicants and I only have 120 slots. Why should I let you in? Right then and there, you go into your interview. Right then and there, we go straight into an interview. What they call it, elevator pitch. You better be ready. Stay ready. You ain't got to get ready right then and there. Why should I choose you? And I go right in. I say, because I feel like I secure the funding. I feel like I keep the grade. He said, let me stop you there. He said, there's no funding secured. He said, this is private funding. It's not state funding. I said, well, I just feel like I do my best for the program to make the program look good, so on and so forth. I know how to prioritize. He said, well, tell me that. He said, you look like you like to exercise. You look like you're on your way to yard, because I got the bag gloves around my shoulders. What you going to do when they call class out and they call yard? I say, I'm going to class. He said, what about you makes me think that, that you will go to class? I just started telling him like how I prioritize. I've taken advantage of every certificate that DOC's offered, and I see this as something important that I want to take advantage of. He said, all right, I never thought that I'd hear back from him again, because he didn't have my face sheet. He said he had 1,000 applicants, only 100 slots for people. Next thing you know, 2 weeks later, orientation came. They have something called a pass list. If you have anywhere that you have to go in the institution, it comes out that morning, your name is on it, you need to be there, whether it's medical, library, or anything else. They had orientation, my name was on there. I go to orientation, the administrator started giving the spiel about this is a real college program, it's accredited, so on and so forth. And then he points me out. He say, where's Mr. Chavis at? So I'm sitting off to the side. I'm like, I'm right here. He like, I know this brother gonna represent us, right? Because he almost wrestled me down to get in here. That right there let me know, not that I ever was gonna have step. That right there let me know that I had to stand on something because, you know, I gave my word to this man. And unfortunately, a lot of people join programs or join things just because they want to be involved with something, but they don't see it through. It's easy to get involved in something, but you actually had to see it through. People might have thought it was going to be a fake college program because when I first started my sentence, I applied to Ashworth, which is one of the courses that weren't accredited, but they're one of the correspondence courses where you think you can earn your degree. But when I reached out at home, they said it wasn't accredited. So I opted out. But I knew I was going to see this through. First semester is like, all right, well, we all in this together. Man, when we got to the algebra and probabilities and statistics, I'm like, hey, Bayes' theorem? I said, I might have to rethink this. But it wasn't no opting out of that. So that's essentially how I got in the program. And unfortunately, everybody's not going to make it. The same way he said he had 1,000 applicants. He said he only had 150 slots. 130 people started that program. You know how many graduated? 30 of us. We made history in 2017. The first accredited college, the largest group of individuals that are incarcerated graduating from an accredited college at Rawway State Prison in August 2017. It was 30 something of us, and we graduated. And Senator Bonnie Watson Coleman and several others said we made history because while they may have had other institutions where individuals graduated college, it's never been everybody in one lump sum from accredited college, which was Mercer County Community College. And it was great to me. And it was something that I had to see. You going to say something, Tam?
And I was going to say, even in all of your greatness, you guys don't even know how many times I've received phone calls from other departments who will literally call me and say, who's Mr. Agins, right? That's the executive director, my supervisor. And they love this population of students because they like, these guys don't come to play. I said, no, my guys and girls don't play. They come to learn. This is serious to them. And I can tell you that everybody on this panel here are honor students. They don't play. Shevon didn't talk to me for the first 6 months, right? But Shevon is very techie, just like smart. She wouldn't talk to me. She wouldn't say hi. I was like, what's up with sis? But okay, sis. But just brilliant. And they are very perceptive. And I think I'm sorry, y'all. Y'all know I live. Y'all can hear the music, right? But
Tam from the hood for real. Y'all don't know Tam from the hood for real.
I am. So, I think that you guys have set the tone around Rutgers Newark particularly. I can't say about Camden and I cannot say about New Brunswick, but particularly around Rutgers Newark. They know that first floor office 110, don't nobody come to play. Nobody in there comes to play. And you have such a respect and a reverence around that campus, and you've earned it, rightfully so. And I'm so proud of you all. And I know sometimes the difficulties that you guys would experience with having to make calls. I just want to pitch this scenario one day. Chris had forgot to make his call to the halfway house. So Ray being the person, because we look out for each other. Like we'll be like, yo, go across campus. I know, like we really go hard for each other. So we were like, run to his class and tell him that he got to come in the office and make his call. Because they got to, in between classes, they got to make 5 calls a day. I'm like, oh, my poor babies, right? So, and sometimes just in the midst of a day, you just forget. It's normal. Ray goes to the back of the class, Debo, and he's like walking back and forth. And he finally gets Chris or whatever. I don't know, but Ray, you could probably tell him better than I can. But at the end of the day, they said that Ray came to the class and he looked very intimidating. Essentially, like he was coming to get, I was like, really, y'all? Really? We were like pissed. Me and Chris was like, "Are you kidding me?" But this is the narratives that they have to kind of go against, or the odds that they have to. It's not simple coming from a halfway house, having to study and then go back, like Chris said, to a halfway house. One of my students, he wrote a whole computer program because he didn't have a computer, and his professor was like, "How did you do this?" Like the squiggly lines, the percentage. I was like, "Lord," but this is against the odds. So when I say against the odds, I'm not just saying it because it's cliche. These dudes go hard. Like these young ladies go hard. It's difficult. So I commend you all.
We have a comment here by
Thank
my
you,
brother-in-law who said he loved the discipline you guys maintained throughout the process. I mean, that's a blessing, you know. My hat goes off to you guys. You know, the struggle is real, but you see that you don't have to settle. You know, you just got to keep pushing forward no matter what.
Definitely. We come to
And
shake
especially
Yeah,
for
and
you
even
all
on
who
the
have
inside,
children.
yeah, and even on the inside, it takes a lot of discipline. There be a lot of like, things going on within the prison, and like Ray was saying earlier, prison politics, and things within the prisoners and in the community there. So trying to stay focused and trying to, maintain your grades and do what you need to do and stay out of trouble, not getting caught up in the madness that's surrounding you because there's so much of it, and trying to find quiet areas to get some peace and study in. It's really tough. But it gives us something, more to look forward to on the outside. It gives us something more to strive towards. So it was always like the best outlet.
And let me tell you, I was a nervous wreck in the halfway house just because, like it's so many distractions, like transitioning from being incarcerated for so long to the outside world. You're not supposed to have cell phones and all of that in the halfway house. But, me, for my love of technology, I did what I had to do. But, I always made sure I stayed on my P's and Q's, with everything I had to do, and that I didn't give them no issues inside the halfway house. They had a lot of respect for me in there because I did what I was supposed to do on their end. And even though I may have been, doing things that I may have not been supposed to, but I looked at it for survival. I needed a laptop, to write my papers and to be able to research. So if I'm not supposed to have a laptop in the halfway house, I'm gonna do what I gotta do to get this laptop in so I can get this paper typed up tonight and have it ready for tomorrow. We're not supposed to have cell phones, but there's plenty of times where I missed the bus and I'm out there stranded, and you go ask a stranger, like, may I use your cell phone? They're gonna look at you like you trying to steal their phone. So, it was like really like to me, getting my education inside was a lot easier because I was like a low-key inmate. I didn't get into no trouble really. I had my moments, but for the most part, I stayed to myself. And it was harder for me in the halfway house. I had so many distractions, like, and sometimes I caught myself almost losing focus and I had to snap back, like, girl, you done got this far. Don't get out here and show off because you halfway free, because you ain't all the way free yet. And then people can come in the moment and snatch you up and you can lose all of this. So that's kind of what I always kept in my head. I stayed paranoid. I stayed, on 10. I knew all the staff in the halfway house cars, license plate numbers. I would spot them from afar, like it was very stressful. Like ultimately it was stressful, it was overwhelming, but I still did what I had to do. And then like coming home and continuing my last semester, transitioning from being inside to outside, it became even harder because then I accumulated more responsibilities. I had bills to pay now. I had, rent that was due. I didn't have nobody, that had things set up for me when I got home. I did all that myself, while I was in the halfway house by maneuvering and doing what I had to do. So it just became like a major distraction where it got down to my last semester and I wasn't sure I wasn't going to make it. I had this conversation with Tammy and everything because I had a lot going on. And then facing a pandemic after being incarcerated, it kind of still felt like I was still incarcerated, and that like I was battling with my mental illness on that. And, like it got to a point to where I had to dig deep in my faith and have a conversation with God and, just unload a lot of things and put a lot of things in perspective to get to that point to where, hey, it's graduation day. It's the 21st. You made it. You got them grades. You did what you had to do. And, I thank God for that. And faith got me through my time. So, I look back at it and like, one thing that I could say never changed way throughout my 11 years of incarceration was my faith in God. And I that got me my degree. God got me my degree. So I can't thank nobody else but him. I can't give it to nobody but him, because without him, I don't know where I would have been 12, 13 years ago when the judge said that this was the time I was going to have to do. So, like ultimately, even though I went through all those stresses, transitions, and battle, my faith in God is strong and can't nothing break it. And, I got my degree now, and this is just the beginning. It's bigger things out there for me. And I may be battling with everyday life as we speak, but guess what? God got something great in store for me. He got something great in store for all of us. And it may be hard. And I know I'm not the only one out of, this panel who have dealt with their challenges or, mental issues or, whatever roadblocks and obstacles that have popped up since y'all have been released. But God got us, and, have faith, yo. God is great. God is good, and he is wonderful. And I'm gonna step off. I'm gonna shut up now.
Thank you for that, Shevon and Nicole. Thank you, guys.
Chris, you said something?
Yeah, it's important. So all of us on this panel, we share very ways connected to spirituality in our own walks of life. Me and Shevon, I clicked with sis from day one. Like, man, I saw it was something about her that all over her face, determination. She would come into the office, peace, off the class. She got business to attend to. Ray, day one, showed me discipline. Like, go to your classes. Here's where you can have lunch. Things up real nice. But go right back to class. And we all kept that discipline approach. Same thing with Nicole. Nicole comes with, we know how to log on to the computer them first couple of days. Using her cubicle. But then the next day I came in, she in there busting out papers. But it's very interesting thing when you spoke about the pandemic, right? So in the halfway house setting, there was so much misinformation, and that was external. We knew society didn't know much of what was going on, but we was getting spun on the inside through a political apparatus that was at play. And so while going to school, semester still going, for 2 of my classes, I had to use a flip phone to listen to my professor give a lecture and take the hallway. Because the administration there said I couldn't room by myself with the cell phone. It was a security. So you'd have to sit in a hallway while they're mess. And mess means the food movement where they delivered the child. So I had to sit outside of the deputy director's office with 200 people lined up to eat food, socially distanced at 6 feet. They had tape on the ground, right? And people had to wear their masks. You're in a space that's built like a warehouse, right? If you go to right, the one that's like a showroom, that's right. It's a showroom section, and they're asking you to be socially distanced in there. Almost, I would say I contracted it because I lost my taste, smell, all of that. I know a couple other brothers that severely contracted it. They had it really bad. We're still having to take these papers, take these psych exams. I'm taking psychology exams, and then I'm scanning it to 3 parties because they didn't trust me to use the scanner. And this is the hypocrisy of the system, right? That's at play. They want to applaud blades of people like us that are determined and disciplined to do it on our own, while going a bathroom stall with a cot in it, to then reaching society with all of these things against them. And they want to applaud us when we get a degree. But what y'all don't know is that we weren't allowed to have access to a laptop computer, potential for class, right? And they knew this. They would say, "Oh, it has to get approved by the DOC," and then there was always red tape. So when I was doing my final exams that very first semester of the pandemic, I would have my exam out. I would submit it to a teacher who was GED teacher in that facility, then scan it, send it to the deputy director so he could look over and make sure there's no secret messages inside. Then it would get emailed to the counselor at NJ Stepp's office, and then it would get emailed to my professor, right? That's what was at play. So we overcome all of that, and we come into society, and the psychological component that's talking about this severe trauma that we experience. You're someone who's done any type of confinement, but particularly long-term confinement. I, having done something close to 24, the first home I averaged about 2.5 hours sleep. Not because I wanted to go to sleep, because my brain didn't want to turn off. There was too much information coming into my mind. I'm still going to school, but I have a menu now. Many things I wanted to eat that I seen on TV. Like, oh my God, I want to taste that. My was time in the day. Brain want to turn off. There's so a lot of things at play, but I'll just say that we're very fortunate we are now because I could assert wholeheartedly so that the people on this are very much respective of the people that I've come in contact, which is the never give up attitude. Never give up.
And I will say, when you called me during the pandemic, I was like, how do you get in? I was so happy that you found comfort in calling me. And all I was like, do you need anything? And all he asked me for was a book. I was like, oh, I'll get that book to you. He's like, Tam, could you get, I don't know, was it the right book, Chris? I was like, I don't know, but whatever you want, I'll get it to you. So who was it? Tariq was my person who was running back and forth to Harbor. But I tell you, you guys, so, and Ray was like, oh, Tam, be quiet. I remember prior to getting fired from Kane and sitting home for 24 months. I didn't work, right? 22 months. And I remember saying, God, I do want to go back into education. I do want to do higher ed, but God, you can't give it to me the way I was used to it. Like it wasn't working for me, and it was getting boring. It was stale, right? So you guys know, I'll be like, I'll say like, okay, well, I need something different. I get bored, right? So I said, okay, God, I need something different. And there is a uniqueness about working with this population because you see struggle. When I saw you guys, I saw my cousins, my uncles, my brothers. So there was nothing for me to bring food to the office every day for Ray, because Ray had like Tam. Like he said, I haven't had short ribs of beef. What you want? You want some beef flanking? I got you. Chris, what you want? Most of the guys know that's my introduction. Food and clothes. I got you. Like you want to go to the thrift store? You want me to take you to the thrift store? But it was such a pleasure working with you all. It's been amazing. You guys are amazing. You guys are intelligent, far beyond your understanding. And for me, the respect was like, these brothers have struggled. These sisters have struggled. And you hear there's nothing that either one of you cannot accomplish because you've been through, excuse my friend, you've been through hell and back, literally. Some of the things I was just ignorant to, like you really had to fight for classes because I'm thinking it's business as usual. You go sign up for classes, they like, nah, Tam, and Just told me this. He was like, no, it's so politics. I'm like, oh. So, and before I leave this earth, my desire is to go into prisons and teach because of you all, right? So the PhD for me is not about an accolade of academics and getting a degree. It's about, let me run this helm and let them run something, because people always have the conversation for you all without you all. How do you build a program of anything and don't ask these people or people who went through this experience what they need? And I was having this conversation with a senator or a congressperson, and I was like, do y'all ask? No, y'all just go pouring money and people steal it and they don't get the benefit of it. Like, what the hell's that? But you guys are amazing, life-changing. Love you all from the bottom of my heart, and everywhere I go, I talk about you all. And people know, because I'll be like, yeah. And they're like, Sarah, you not scared? No, they scared of me.
Girl, Tammy, you've been locked up before. You was downstate before. Me and Ray know the truth. But we ain't going to put your business out here on national social media.
If she don't, she'll talk you to death.
Yeah, but you know, one thing about me, I'm a talk, but I don't talk like no fool, right? So I talk, but it's substantive. But Ray be like, Tam, shut up. I don't want to hear no more. That was, but I love Talib. Let me tell you, I would have never gone to a wedding if it wasn't yours. I'm like, oh, I don't mess with nobody during COVID. So do know that I love you dearly because I was like, if I get up coughing in the morning, it's going to be some shit. But
Yeah.
I risked it. For you, I risked it. Yep. But you guys are amazing.
There was a question out there that says, do you all think that you inspire others to do better for themselves, to be ready when they get out? Like the people that's still in there that you may know. Do you think you inspire them to do better?
I think I inspire some people, but I think it's a lot of jealousy as well because in a situation like being incarcerated, it's a lot of people that don't want to do better for themselves. They're content with being in that environment, getting into the minor misunderstandings and stuff like that. So sometimes they'll look at you like, what you think you better than everybody because you're going to school in here. But then you got some people who be like, yo, like you really did that, like you really accomplished that, and that may give them the inspiration they need. Like, you know what, let me take a class so I can stop getting into so much trouble and I can start focusing on outside of these walls. Because a lot of the time when you inside, you get caught up inside and you forget that it's a future and that it's an outside coming. So when you get caught up in that mindset, it's hard for you to get out of it. But once you look outside that box and see that, it's something more than prison, like it's a beautiful thing. And I hope that, my journey and my story, because I would share my story with anybody. My story is my story. And I hope that my journey and my story has inspired somebody to change their life in some, way, shape, form, or fashion, whether it was a small change or a minor change.
I know that we have, Dash. I know that for a fact that we have. I watched, all of us sat in prison for a substantial amount of time, but I know that I could speak for some of the male institutions because I've been in several of them. And I know for a fact that the landscape changed. We watched the landscape change from like 2013 or around 2011, 2013, when the program came to prison. We went from being in huddles, like for real, we went from being in huddles talking about mischief to talking about Bayes' theorem and theses and Plato and stuff like that. I watched it. I literally watched it. Yeah, I literally watched it. I watched it because we were hungry for something. Now, make no mistake about it, brother. There's a whole lot of geniuses in prison. They're self-taught, though. Their theories may not be challenged. So for them to sharpen their knives, we needed that setting to be in a classroom of 20, 30 men to unpack different theories about stuff and to sharpen that blade. You have an idea, but we needed our misconceptions ironed out. So I know for a fact, because I've spoke to many individuals, and even greater than that, there's a lot of individuals that are free now because of their education, because their education made them marketable. And so therefore society said, okay, they won't be out here committing all this mischief because they're marketable. Shit, their degree is just as qualified as mine. So now they can qualify and compete for this job. Ban the box couldn't do that. No legislation could do that. What did that is when you sit before me and I got a degree and my degree is the same degree as yours. What helped that is when I sit across from you and I can articulate just as well as you, or I can understand your job just as well as you. That's what made us able. So I know for a fact that we inspired others. And like Talib said earlier, there's a host of us out here right now and a whole lot more of us coming out, God willing, that we're shaking things up. But the thing is, we have informal education and formal education. What you going to do with us? You're a robot. We understand critical theory. So, what you going to do with us? Absolutely. Absolutely. I would say, yes, we definitely inspired others. You're never going to be able to save everybody, but this education thing is infectious. This social education, the social entrepreneurship that come along with it, the intellectual transformation that comes along with it, and just the freedom of thinking about something different other than your circumstances. When you start looking at sociology and all these other things, you learn about all the other things going on around the world. Well, your problem in your community don't seem so bad. So now you start going a little bit further. So yeah, definitely. And Tam, I'll forever love you for welcoming us and everything that you do for us. Always.
And I just want to
Um,
add something to what
oh,
Ray said. I'm sorry. Let me just add this right
it's
quick.
okay, Siobhan, go ahead.
Women and men jail completely different. Like the dynamics with men incarcerated, you see how you say y'all huddled together and y'all went from talking about basically BS to talking about, theories and all of that. Like women don't do that. Like I didn't have that type of experience in prison until, STEP became a program and me and the people that I became close with who were like minded as myself, and we had the same goals and ambitions, so we were able to create that. But like that's not a dynamic that's in women's prison. So I just wanted to add that. I'm about to run into a truck. Hold on.
Siobhan, we about to take you
Um,
off here because you need to be focused. We don't need nothing to happen to you on our live.
I'm focused. Don't worry about me.
Go ahead.
I'm dominating.
Insurance on this, just to let you know.
Go ahead, Nick. Hold on, Nicole had something to say. Go ahead.
no, I was saying that I was gonna say that I feel that we do inspire other people, and not only other people incarcerated or people who've been formerly incarcerated, but other people who have lost the will to go and get it on their own. So I feel like we inspire other populations to not just our own. And like Siobhan said, like it's so easy to get caught up, like in the prison. It was so easy to get caught up in the drama and realize it through education that there's so much more, that there's a world outside of it, and how we play a part in it, in the social structures and all those things that we didn't really think about or pay much mind to, or we knew superficially about before. um that in itself is freeing, and getting caught up in that, and even in the street, like education helps you in a way not to get caught up back in that, or within the prison or outside. So
Yeah, absolutely. I'd say that by God's grace, we're able to benefit from chance, right? Like that's what that's when education, the acronym is so right, being that next step. The scholarship is formative education and transformative. I would only say this, and it's very important because I grew up in prison, particularly from January. If anybody been to training school for boys, Ray's been there as well. That was gladiator. They're you to do more harm. It teaches you essentially how to have a monopoly on violence. It'd probably be the best way to say it. How to pump your chest, be able to be whatever a negative life requires. But then you take advantage of the second chance, and you hold on to it, and you don't let go, because you know quite intimately what the dark places look like that gets glorified on television. We know what it actually looks like. We know what it feels like. You know what your stomach when you're in something that is not inherently human. It's socially constructed violence. It's the reason why the United States has a monopoly on violence, is because it's effective, right? But I will say this: anyone that needs to be inspired, it would be the children to take advantage of the chance, so you do not have to experience the adversity that our children face, in particularly black and brown children, right? They do not need to feel marginalized or stigmatized because their phenotype. And the only way we could articulate that to them is to be able to remind them that the most important chance, your first chance, right? And you can errors in that first chance. You could, because you're learning, but you do not have to go to where I went to, or any of the brothers and sisters panel have gone to earn that sense, right? You arrive in your community the first time, right? In Chirac, we're calling it Chirac no more. It should be Chicago, right? Like we need to remove these we put upon ourselves We need to be able to be a people who collectively take from experiences, are able to invigorate or at least liven it up for the children.
Let me ask you all this, because we are at our time, right? Because I'm all about being proactive. We can talk all day. What do you all feel you can use this as a, how do you feel you can use this as a platform to change the narrative? Because I think that if we are, it can't be once every blue moon. It has to be something that's concrete, something that people can connect to. How do you guys feel that I can help you to get your message to that next level? Or yeah, that's, I guess that's my question. I'm like,
I personally, and I'm not speaking for y'all, but for me, I feel that writing our congressman, our senator, the president, doing what we can as, an organization or a community can help us get out there more. And just by y'all being on here, it actually sends out a message to people, like Nicole was saying, not just people incarcerated, but it influences me, to do even better on things that I feel that we can do better.
I'm talking about Fine and Taylor. We have a show every Monday. Do you feel that this is a narrative that needs to be done once a month? Do you feel like this needs to be once every 2 months? Tell me what it is that we can do on a normal, because like we've touched on this, and I know people probably like, oh, here she go again. But this is my driver. I never wanted to go back to school until I met you all. I couldn't find anything that was interesting enough. And now I'm like, oh, okay. It connects the dots. So how could we use this platform to help you all to change that narrative?
You're doing it, Tam. I know both of y'all would appreciate it. Hosea 4:6, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. You're doing it. So when you start sharing information and when you start sharing stories and individuals start to be able to relate, like, oh, you find and tell Tam and Taj got individuals up there. They're not up there just talking about fashion. They're talking about politics. They're talking about civic duty. They join a connection between voting, civic duty, incarceration, poverty, social ills, and so on and so forth. You're doing it. So it's just further in this conversation, basically, and knowing your audience. So doing something to get across to them audience, because maybe the young men or the young women that are troubled are not connecting with this audience yet. So you feel like you find a mechanism where we could get them there, and then you have us back every time, and we'll talk to their problems. I happen to work for a nonprofit out of Newark, and they focus on community-based public safety. I'm their administrative coordinator. We have mentees. We have different programs where we address the ills that go on in the community, whether it's trauma-driven or otherwise, and specifically the mentees. So I'm going to answer the question specifically to me, and I think that everybody could answer it the same way. What would have helped you? What would have done something? Because that's the way I approach young men or I approach young adults. The things that I say to them is the things that would have said that if someone had said to me, I feel like would have been effective. And I'm talking about talking straight to their heart. I'm talking about cutting out all the BS. First, asking them, what's up? The way a doctor would. What's bothering you?
Right.
Because you can't just come straight in talking to somebody and you don't even know what's going on. You basically giving them a diagnosis and then trying to answer. Ask them what's going on. And if they don't tell you what's going on, then talk to them. And that means covering the whole gamut of discussions. How's your finances? How's your relationship with your mother or children? How's your relationship with your community? How's your relationship with your profession, with your education, so on and so forth? Because eventually you're going to strike a nerve. And when you strike a nerve, you're going to know you struck a nerve because that's where they're going to stop at. And that's where the most conversation. And at that point, that's when you go in. That's when you go in. You find that little spot, that soft spot, that sweet spot, and you go in. But it all happens through conversation. It all happens through mentorship. It all happens through sharing information. There is nothing that we can do for somebody to change them.
Yeah, right.
We can only assist them. We inform, they conform, their world transforms. That's how it works.
And another thing that I was saying, Tam, that we can do, because we're only on those 3 platforms, that's not all that we can do. Like, we need to be on iTunes. We need to be on, what is that other one? Spotify. Like, so those are other platforms that we can be on to spread the word, not just these 3, because, we're getting views, but we want to get them up higher. And that's the only way we're going to be able to do this as Fine and Taylor hosts, is to make sure that we're on all these hosts that they have out there. I know at one point we were on Periscope was international. Now they dropped this off of there. So now we don't have that choice to see it international.
But as I have told Ray, I've told anyone with the whole social media thing, because, you know, I push, you know, my small business for, so it's about consistency. So my thing is what it can be our consistent factor on this, because like my cousin Taisha, I know that she has some things that she has, you know, she has a son, and some men need men. A woman can, I have a brother and a father. Their dynamic is different. Me and my mom, our dynamic is different, and my dynamic with my dad is different. But men have to speak to men because they don't understand. We don't talk their language. It's like, it really is a code of ethic. And when a man says something to a man, it gives it a whole different angle. It does. So when I see the guys talk, I'm like, see, a brother who's struggling could see this, and they would be able to see that and speak to that, knowing where they came from. So I'm not talking about the fluff. You know, the fluff gets nothing. Let's talk about the brothers who run the streets, who done this, and tell you, listen, this is not what you want to do. You don't want this. You know. So who could tell them better than somebody who's done it?
I just want to add that I agree with Ray. You know, bringing awareness to a situation, that's like number one, because, you know, like a lot of people may have been through the same situation or experience that we've been through, but, you know, they may feel alone, or they may feel like it's no better choice or no better way, or like it's no sunlight at the end of the rainbow. So once you bring awareness to something and you start spotlighting that, you know, out of darkness a flower can grow, then it'll get more attention and more people will understand the situation, and maybe it can better, you know, the ones that's growing up now who, you know, God, it's sad to say, but they'll eventually end up in the system because of, you know, their neighborhoods, their areas, just being poor, or their race or nationality or whatever. So, you know, at least, you know, our story, all our stories on this panel and our journeys, you know, I look at this as the groundbreaking to a foundation to something that's going to be big one day. Like, you know, getting education and coming out of prison and, you know, doing something positive for yourself and actually making a difference in the world, because I believe we the difference makers. Because, you know, we've been all the way down. We've been all the way up. We know how it is to have and how it is to have not. We know how it is to have your freedom taken away from you and to be in a place where it's just all you have to face yourself and face your emotions. And, you know, we the changers. We are the ones that's going to change the world. We are the ones that's going to make a difference. And it all starts with us. You know, God don't, but just because a door may be closed, that means God didn't mean for you to go through it. Whatever doors that God has planned for you that's going to be open, they're going to be open, and you ain't going to have no problem getting through it. And that's one forethought that everybody has to maintain.
And that's one thing what you're saying, Shevon, by us, and Tammy, you were saying about how can we make this. My goal is to get a network. That's my goal. Not just stay here as Fine Taylor, but make this a network where we can have our own broadcasting, because everything that we put on Facebook and YouTube, we don't own it. It's theirs right now. So getting a network out to be able to be that TV show like Oprah and them, like, why not? We can do it. They did it. Someone started it somewhere.
We had this conversation. Remember, I told you I wanted to, you know, do my little thing and talk about topics like this. And I was supposed to reach out to you, Ray, to, you know, and to see what your interest was going to be in it. But unfortunately, things in my life have been a mess for the past month. But, you know, me and Tammy had a conversation about to do the exact same thing. And, you know, that's something that I'm very interested in. And I just feel like, you know, having that sort of label behind your name like that, and having your own network to where you own everything and you're talking about like the real issues of the world, like that's wonderful. Like that's amazing.
The universe
I
is
think another
conspiring.
way to, oh, sorry, Ray.
No, you good.
I think another way to change the narrative too, that'll be really impactful, especially concerning, you know, from the incarcerated people, because, you know, there's a lot of stigma attached to us, as everybody knows. Like, you know, it's a lot of dehumanizing, you know, connotations that are associated with us and everything like them. So, you know, just trying to, you know, bring to surface how we're human too, while we're scholars too. Some of us come out, become scholars, lawyers, the directors of, programs, earning their own nonprofits. We're not just our mistakes, we're more than that. So I think using like experiences or stories from directly impacted people help people to identify with us better, people who, look at us as like a dehumanizing in a dehumanizing way and stuff like that. So I think using stories of people who directly impacted by whatever kind of issue you're trying to bring up or whatever theme of the podcast that you're going towards would really be impactful to the people listening. And then all of you guys brought up great points about networking and expanding from there. But I think, including those directly impacted stories will really be powerful.
Yeah, because you can't help people that you're afraid of. And people, that's the thing. People are simply afraid because they have this stigmatism. And this is why I loved going to work for the last 5 years. It's worth my day. I never knew what I was going to get because it's always like, you just never know. But it has been an amazing journey. It has been an amazing journey.
Tammy, even for me, like going into, prison, I know for me, I thought like I went into prison, I'm in here with all these people who are bad people, all these things you feed in, or you think the same thing that the rest of society thinks going into there, or at least I did. And I'm thinking like, oh man, I'm gonna have to really fight for my life in this place, or these people are really bad, like I know I made a mistake, but everybody but you get in there and it's like, damn, even people doing life in prison, or crazy numbers, you look at them and you're like, damn, their mom just like me, or their person just like me, and we have so much in common, and they're like human just like me, and they're no different than me, and we're no different than them. The only thing is our mistakes have got us here. So getting people to see that the same way you have seen it time and time again in the office, Tam, like I think will really be powerful to people.
So Miss Barbara came up with the idea, Taisha came up with the idea of let's doing this once a month. And I think it's worth, just spinning the topic off. But, there's nothing for me, Nicole, to love you and hug on you and watch you cry and know that you're afraid. How many times have I had the conversation with, even though Ray would be like, get out of here. I'm like, you okay going home? Shut up, Tim. But I know that comes with a stigmatism because you're going back to a place where you don't even know the people that you're going back to, because you're a whole different person. And I would really try to break Ray down, but he wasn't having it. Like, just shut up. I'm like, you all right? But I asked Shevon. I didn't get that chance to ask Chris. But I've asked Nicole, like, you okay? And I will check on them relentlessly, even off the job hours, because I don't understand how you work with humans and it be a 9 to 5. It's for me, it's like when people need you, they need you, But that's that. But we are beyond the hour. We are at 9:17. So people are like, oh, this is great, spin off. But I think we should. And whenever you can make it, you all just let me know. And what we can do. And Talib, I would love to just have a one-on-one with you, particularly. Speaking with you is so calming, but I don't know when Tasha's actual departure will be, but it will be just me for a while.
and me. Don't count me out.
Oh, Shevon, please.
I'm in and out, but I'll be around.
In Target, in the back room. Stop playing. But yeah, so thank you all for being.
You ain't never say Tammy.
Never.
Before we roll out,
okay.
This is probably something that can be a lot informative. All of us, in some way, are talking to our younger selves every day. That's always trying to find those who harm's way. And we all go back to it. The only place innocence could be articulated, seen. When you see a little boy, girl, and a little light that's in their eyes that been affected by society, yet that's the person we're always trying to get back in contact with, and that's why we are people so much. if we could just tap into a little bit more. All right.
Y'all know I love you dearly, and I'll say that to the day I die. Thank you for being transparent. Thank you for always being willing to help whenever I call. You know, you guys are like, yeah, I'm in Tam, or I can't do it, but thank you. And we will pick this up. This will be something that we will continue the narrative, because it has to. You know, I don't think that God allows people paths to cross for no reason, and I believe that because you all have sparked the fire in me, and the passion is there, and you guys have the experience and the know-how. That's a perfect marriage for change, you know. So we just got to do it, and we can do it together.
So with that being said, I'd like to just thank y'all too, as well as being on here. Make sure you share this on your page, you know, tell a friend, somebody, so they can view it and they can share it on their social media, you know, like we said. And our guests and our audience out there, we like to thank y'all for y'all support, love. Every Monday, we're here at 8 p.m. every Monday. And we just have supporters on here that's been consistent with us since October of last year. And we thank you guys for being consistent. Ray, we had you on here before. We love you on here, coming on here. We'll have you more. Chris, Nicole, and Shevon, we know we love you, but we need you to help us with this technical stuff.
Nicole, but no, Tosh, Nicole actually watches the show. Nicole watches it. What you say, Shevon?
Chime in with us, Nicole. Hit us and just say hi, so we know who our great supporters are, so we know who our top rated supporters are, you know?
You got it.
So thank you guys.
Thank you all for having me.
You know, and outside of this, you all know if you ever need me for anything, I'm always just a phone call away.
We know.
Your phone up all the time. So.
She gets on my nerves.
That's my lawyer, my doctor, my advocate, the judge, the jury, the senator,
The fashionista.
Yeah.
You guys, I'm down here in North Carolina, Durham, Raleigh area. So if you ever pop down here, doors open. That's how it is here.
I'll be down there. My family reunion in August. So I'll be down there. I hit you, Tasha.
Come on in, definitely. Tammy, Tammy doesn't. She says I steal her friends.
No
He
doubt.
does. She don't have no damn friends, y'all. She take all my friends. She be on their pages. I'm like, girl, go get your own damn friends. Chris, she gonna be on your page like, hey, Chris, Ray comments something. Here go Tasha. I'm like, yo, Tasha, you don't have no friends. You don't have no friends. She's taking all my friends.
She's like a pit bull.
Sharon is Karen.
Right.
Karen is Karen. All right, love y'all all.
I comment on people's pages. Tasha come back with, like, why did you tell her that? Girl, get the hell off my friend's page reading my comments. Like, Tasha, are you retarded? Like, what's going on with you? Like, what's going on?
Ray,
Terrible.
Right, I'm gonna put her in the mud pile.
I know.
Let me tell you something. I already told her husband when I get there this weekend and she get out the car with that baby, I was like, take the baby. I'm gonna whoop her ass.
She's gonna mace me, she said, guys. She's not even playing.
I'm not. I'm gonna beat you up as soon as you drop that load.
We non-violent over here. We non-violent over here. I don't know what y'all getting into.
Tell her, Ray.
We non-violent.
I just said mud because I heard when she was a kid she was scared of mud, so that's what I know.
I don't like being dirty. It's not cool. It's not hot. It's not so hot.
Right. Love y'all. Good night.
And
love you too.
Taylor.
Good night.
So I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks again.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Tell Andy I said hi, Shevon. And I send my love.